The first thing a man did upon returning to the pre-apocalypse era was to spend all his savings to buy an unfinished building. Everyone mocked me as a fool, but only I knew that the apocalypse was imminent. 80% of humanity will be infected and turn into zombies, and the survivors will kill each other to fight for resources. At that time, a pack of instant noodles could sell for 100 million. A single ham sausage would make girls rush to marry you. And the doomsday fortress I built is enough for me to live for centuries. But in my previous life, I lived a good life on my knees, licking up to the school beauty, Liu Ruyan, for 10 years. In return, I only received her ruthless betrayal. Not only did she lead people to steal all my supplies, but she also brutally murdered all my teammates in front of me. I closed my eyes in regret as the zombies tore at me. If there is an afterlife, I will definitely return the pain I suffered 100-fold. But when I opened my eyes again, I only saw a woman wearing high heels, bellowing in my living room. Jiang Xiaoyong, what do you mean by this? Why isn't my name on the property certificate? Transfer the house to me immediately. Looking at everything familiar, I finally understood the situation. I had actually been reborn back to before the apocalypse. In the previous life, my parents' inheritance was swindled away by Liu Ruyan, and I was left homeless on the streets. Soon the doomsday disaster broke out. I relied on the friends I made while wandering to build a safe zone to survive. But I didn't expect this bitch, Liu Ruyan, to pretend to be a pitiful person with nowhere to go to gain my sympathy. But not long after she entered the base, she opened the gates for the enemy. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but feel extremely angry. I wish I could kill this green tea bitch right now. But thinking that the apocalypse hasn't broken out yet, I suppressed the impulse inside me, and Liu Ruyan was still shouting there. 400,000 dowry cannot be reduced by a single cent. Otherwise, you can forget about marrying me in this lifetime. But I kicked her out of the door and told her to get lost as far as possible. Liu Ruyan was immediately stunned. When did this kid become so assertive? Isn't he my simp? I am a woman. How dare he treat me like this? And on the other side of the door, I glanced at the time. Now there is only 1 month left until the apocalypse, and I must make adequate preparations before then. At this moment, a prompt suddenly appeared out of thin air, interrupting my thoughts. The Doomsday System package has been activated. Preparation 1. Task requires owning a plot of land 0.365. Prepare a year's worth of supplies. Task reward, 10 points which can be redeemed in the system shop. With this system, it seems that I am one step closer to my revenge. After redeeming some starting capital with my initial points, I didn't expect my stomach to start rumbling. I then remembered my previous life. In order to collect Liu Ruyan's betrothal money, I was tightening my belt every day, causing my malnutrition. Since I have been reborn after so much difficulty, I must reward myself with a good meal. A few minutes after placing an order on LMA, the Michelin 3-star takeout I ordered was delivered. Just as I was enjoying this 300 yuan piece of braised pork, an untimely phone call came in. After seeing the caller ID, my expression turned cold. It was actually a call from Liu Ruyan's best friend. As soon as the call connected, her impatient voice came through. Jiang Xiaoyong, is this how you treat Ruyan? We are women. How can you say you love her if you are unwilling to give up your family assets? What about your responsibilities as a man? If you come now with the property certificate and 1 million in cash, and kowtow to apologize, I will help persuade Ruyan. Otherwise, you can wait to break up. However, before she could finish speaking, I hung up the phone directly. Liu Ruyan, in the previous life, if I hadn't been kind and taken care of you, you would have starved to death in this doomsday. But you betrayed me. This time I will make you pay the price. But the most important thing right now is to find a shelter and turn it into an easy-to-defend fortress. It's best if it's also close to a forest and water source. Thinking of this, I went to a real estate agency. A warm and friendly beauty greeted me. Excuse me, sir, are you here to rent or buy a house? But before I could speak, the manager behind her interrupted. Xiaoning, go quickly to the back and help move the boxes. The woman hurriedly explained that she was assisting a customer, but the manager just glanced at me. A poor loser wearing pinduoduo clothes, probably can't even afford a toilet. A useless customer. Hearing this, I immediately became angry. Looking down on people, huh? But the manager became even more arrogant. What about looking down on people? Someone like you, a poor student, you can afford a toilet. I'll livestream eating shit. This is what you just said. I'll definitely give you something hot later. Having said that, I took out the initial black card I redeemed in the system. Miss, today I'm neither renting nor selling a house. I'm here to buy land today. Everyone was so shocked that they wet their diapers. Oh my god, I've lived for so long. And this is the first time I've seen someone buy land. This is a real tycoon. The girl hurriedly invited me to sit down and offered to introduce me personally. But the manager still sneered. Anyone can brag. You'll be in trouble if you can't pay up later. But I directly interrupted Xiaoning's introduction. No need for such trouble. Help me find a place with mountains and water nearby, and convenient road access. It's best if there are factory-like buildings on it, or a larger house will also work. Before Xiaoning could speak, Manager Liu immediately sneered. Isn't that plot of land in the East District exactly what he needs? Xiaoning looked surprised. You're talking about the land in the T-City, right? But that land is full of unfinished buildings, and they haven't been dealt with yet. However, Manager Liu was still full of disdain. Sell what? Sell what? I think this stinky loser is just here to cause trouble. However, when I flipped through the address map, I found that this piece of land was exactly what I needed. Its location is in the suburbs, which can avoid the large-scale zombie impact in the city. The unfinished buildings can be easily defended with wire fences, and it can also save me a lot of costs and construction time. Now, there's less than a month left before the apocalypse. I immediately stated that I could sign the contract now. Xiao Ning was instantly stunned. "Sir, are you serious?" And I sneered. "Isn't there still someone waiting to eat something hot?" After paying the 300,000 deposit, I also patted Manager Lu's shoulder. "Now it's your turn to perform. As long as you eat the shit, I'll definitely send you a rocket later." Having said that, I walked towards the exit without looking back, leaving behind only a bunch of mocking voices from his colleagues. "Fat Lou, I've started a live stream for you. My bowel isn't good today, but I guarantee it's fresh. Next, all that's missing are enough supplies." As I left contentedly, I didn't notice a middle-aged man brushing past me. He was Liu Ruyan's godfather, Ji Boda. "What is Jiang Xiaoyong doing here?" And after learning that I bought a piece of land, he immediately called Liu Ruyan. "Do you know that Jiang Xiaoyong bought land today?" Liu Ruyan instantly flew into a rage. "That poor ghost must have used my betrothal money to buy the land. How dare he?" At the same time, on the other side, I was worrying about the funds for stockpiling supplies and building the base. But the next moment I was interrupted by a series of urgent knocks on the door. As soon as I opened the door, Liu Ruyan charged at me and roared, "Jiang Xiaoyong, what do you mean? How dare you spend my money? Is there something wrong with your brain? You woman? Why are you going crazy here?" In a fit of anger, Liu Ruyan retorted, "Don't think I don't know you used the betrothal money to buy land. I'm telling you, the betrothal money belongs to the woman. Since you used the betrothal money to buy land, that land is mine. But I took out a stack of cash and threw it at her. I have plenty of money, but I won't spend a single cent on you. You worn out shoe. Don't think I don't know about the crap you and Ji Boda are involved in." Liu Ruyan felt a pang of guilt. What's going on? How does he know about me and Ji Boda? But she still tried to explain stubbornly. "That's just my male best friend. And you." Wen Shuya, who was beside her, also chimed in. "Yeah, you guys calm down. It's just a misunderstanding. Couples quarrel." But what responded to them was me slamming the door shut, and the word "get out" that I blurted out. As soon as the two of them got off the elevator, Shuya asked Liu Ruyan if it was true that she was messing around with that old man Ji Boda. But what she didn't expect was Liu Ruyan was just regretting that she wasn't secretive enough. She only stayed with Ji Boda for a few nights. Hearing that, Shuya also raised her hand to her forehead, speechless. But in the blink of an eye, she revealed a smile. "Ruyan. Oh, Ruyan. I didn't expect Xiaoyong to be a rich second generation. Since you messed up with Xiaoyong, then I won't be polite. Who told us to be besties?" The next morning I went to the land I acquired. The construction team also arrived just in time. The foreman said that the barbed wire, electric grid, and bulletproof glass are all prepared. I just don't know what kind of power the boss offended. "Don't inquire about things in the underworld. Just tell me how much this job will cost if it's completed in a month." But he said that a month was too rushed. Seeing this, I sneered. "If you don't do it, there are plenty of others who will." The foreman smiled ingratiatingly. "No, boss. What I meant was, boss, you need to add more money. 20 million should be enough, right? I'll transfer the 5 million deposit to you within a week. Let the workers start the job first." Seeing how generous I was, the foreman agreed immediately. And I also clearly understood that time waits for no one. The apocalypse is about to descend. Bargaining is meaningless. And at that time all the banknotes will be like waste paper. When I was about to leave, a sweet female voice stopped me from behind. "Brother Zhang, what are you doing here?" Then she grabbed my arm. "I specially dressed up today to see you. Brother, do you think my white silk stockings are pretty?" And my eyes were filled with killing intent. In the previous life, it was this green tea from the fish willow, Ruyan, who swindled away all my parents' inheritance. In this life, I will definitely make you pay double. However, Shuya began to take things further. "Brother Zhang, is this the land you bought? Brother, are you planning to build a villa here?" But I directly threw her off with one hand. "What I build is none of your business." Seeing how abnormal I was, Shuya gritted her teeth. "Why is this guy so off today? Usually, he blushes and his heart races at just a touch. Today, I'm being so proactive. How come he's not reacting at all?" But I didn't pay any attention to her at all. Instead, I turned and walked towards the construction team. Shuya was even more certain that I was a hidden rich second generation. Liu Ruyan has already had a falling out with me. Now is the time for her to take over. Not long after, I returned home. I mortgaged this house to the bank and only got 3 million. This money is not even enough for the first phase of the project. But the next moment I suddenly realized, anyway, the apocalypse is coming soon. It doesn't matter even if I sell the house to multiple people. But just as I was pondering, the door rang again. Knock knock knock. It was actually the old neighbor downstairs, who thinks he's hot shit because he has money. He bought the first and second floors, and now he's set his sights on my third floor. But I originally intended to use this house as our bridal room, so I refused to sell it. So this old guy finds fault with me every day, splashing paint and piling up trash at my door, placing wreaths and jamming the lock. He has used all sorts of immoral tricks. I angrily said, "Old man, are you done yet? Fine. Aren't you just fixated on my house? I'll sell it to you, alright?" The old man was both surprised surprised and delighted to hear this. Are you serious? Then I made a condition. My new house will be delivered in 6 months, so I'll need to live here for another 6 months. Before that, you need to buy this house and transfer the 5 million to me in one go. Seeing his hesitation, I pretended to close the door. I didn't expect him to immediately agree to sign the contract with me, to avoid me going back on my word later. I was overjoyed. Hee, you fool. Just guard your house and wait for death. Now that the old man's 5 million is in my account, plus the 3 million loan, I already have enough capital. Thinking of this, I went to Walmart. I quickly swept all kinds of food off the shelves. Everyone around thought I was a fool, but only I knew that the most important thing in the apocalypse is supplies. In the previous life, countless people were not killed by the zombies, but starved to death. This time, I must make ample preparations in advance. Soon, my supplies filled dozens of shopping carts, and the onlookers mocked me. Probably another idiot who has read too many novels, and believes in doomsday rumors. But I didn't have time to pay attention to them, because the system showed that my initial task was completed. Reward, 10 points. In the Doomsday, attribute enhancement is important, but this protagonist supply box is exactly 10 points. After I successfully redeemed it, what appeared in front of me was a seemingly ordinary rain. Level 1 space rain. It has 500 square meters of internal space, and time is completely stopped in the different space. In other words, even if I hoard fresh food, it won't spoil within it. Just as I was about to complete the next task, to gather enough food for 10 years, a voice came from my ear. Who is causing trouble here? The person who came was a ferocious-looking man. I didn't expect him to be my middle school classmate, Yang Dao. Back then, he was the school bully's lackey. He was best at bullying the weak and fearing the strong. He had many conflicts with me back in school. Jiang Xiaoyong, what are you doing? Put all this stuff back to its original place. Otherwise, I won't be polite. And I just sneered. Is this how you, Walmart, treat your customers? Either you pay for all these items, or don't even think about leaving this door. Soon, 2.5 hours passed. The cashier even reported a sky-high bill of 56 yuan. Looking at his sycophantic appearance, I just swiped my bank card casually. Payment successful. Yang Dao was dumbfounded on the spot. He left with 2 security guards without looking back, but I directly called out to him. Just because you had such a terrible attitude, you think you can just walk away? You must apologize to me. Otherwise, I will return all these goods. You brat, are you trying to cause trouble on purpose? But at this moment, the onlookers around were also on my side. They all demanded that he apologize to me. The video has already been recorded. If you don't apologize, I'll make you famous on the internet. I smiled, and indicated that as long as the apology was sincere enough, I could buy 10 times as many supplies. If you don't believe me, you can check my balance on the cash register. Then, with another beep, Yang Dao was stunned to see my balance of over 7 million. He was just a small security captain. How could he afford to offend this kind of tycoon? He immediately lowered his head and bent over 90 degrees. Sir, you are very generous. It was this kid's fault for not recognizing Mount Tai. And I patted his head as if I was petting a dog. Remember, don't be so reckless in the future. Do you understand about leaving a way out for others? Seeing that I was about to leave, Yang Dao respectfully called out to me. Brother Yang, what are you going to do with so much stuff? If you are doing big business, the supermarket warehouse's supplies won't be enough. You have to find a wholesaler. Hearing this, I was immediately interested. Since you work at the supermarket, you must know some wholesalers, right? That's for sure. Do you still remember Jiang Xiaoyong? He is in the wholesale business now. After saying that, he called Jiang Xiaoyong on the spot. Brother J, I have got a big client for you. And as I expected, Yang Dao was indeed still Jiang Xiaoyong's lackey. Soon, I followed him to a warehouse. Suddenly, a luxury car sped up from behind. A pretentious man got out of the car. Yang Dao immediately went up to greet him and introduced me. Brother J, this is the big client I told you about. My middle school classmate, Jiang Xiaoyong. Jiang Xiaoyong pondered for a few seconds. So it was you, kid, the guy who had a bit of a hard bone, right? He looked me up and down. Fake designer brands. I look down on losers like you who have no money but try to act cool. Then, he pressed down on Yang Dao's head with one hand and started. This is what you call a big client? You're wasting my time. Bullshit big client. I've been in this world for so many years. I can see who has money and who doesn't with just one look. I sneered. It seems my aura is really lacking. I can't even impress a low-life illiterate person who looks down on people. The next second, Jiang Xiaoyong grabbed my collar. Say that again if you have the guts. I said you look down on people. If you keep this attitude, I don't mind doing business with someone else. After Jiang Xiaoyong received a notification of 1 million yuan transferred to his account, his face showed disbelief. You're serious? He immediately changed his attitude. Boss, what kind of goods do you want? Rice, cooking oil, salt, snacks, drinks, everything that can be eaten or drunk. I don't care. I want it all. Hearing this, Jiang Xiaoyong revealed a sly smile. I didn't expect to have such good luck. Just when I got a batch of expiring food, there's a sucker to take it all. As long as you take this entire batch, I'll give you a 10% discount on top of the original wholesale price. How's that? Hearing this, I planned to take a look at the quality of the goods first, but I didn't expect that, except for the outermost layer of the shelves. The rest were all expiring foods. Jiang Xiaoyong, your little plan is pretty good. The man felt a bad premonition in his heart. I didn't expect this guy to actually know his stuff. Since you also know, then how about I give you a 50% discount? No need. My 5 million is only for buying the best quality goods. As for your expiring goods, I'll take it all at the 50% discount you said, but it has to be according to my rules. The payment will be made 1 month later. Jiang Xiaoyong was instantly speechless. He knows they are expiring goods, so why is he still taking them? But I just patted his shoulder and told him to do a good job. After all, they don't know that in the apocalypse there is no such thing as an expired food. Even a packet of expired instant noodles will be extremely expensive. And it was at this moment that my phone suddenly rang. It turned out to be about my second-hand house that I listed online. It had already been sold. So, I briefly told Jiang Xiaoyong a few things and left, and told him to deliver the goods to the address I specified, leaving the two of them feeling emotional. This kid's family background was clearly average. How did he suddenly become so successful? Not long after, I met with the buyer. I didn't expect the buyer to actually be an honest old man from the countryside. He approached me with a 400,000 yuan deposit, and he also agreed to the condition that I would vacate the house after 3 months. If there are no issues, we can sign the contract. I couldn't help but feel suspicious. This old man is willing to pay the deposit and sign the contract without even looking carefully at the house. How eager is he to buy my house? To be honest, my granddaughter needs to transfer schools and urgently needs this house for her registration. I've been circling around this neighborhood a few times, and yours is the only house for sale. Mr. Jiang, you absolutely must not go back on your word. Seeing this, I smiled wickedly. Old man, you're showing your hand right away. Aren't you afraid that I'll ask for a higher price? Hearing this, he looked terrified. Mr. Jiang, the money for buying the house is the entire savings of 2 generations. I also sighed. Then, I signed my name on the contract. Looking at his figure as he bowed to me and prepared to leave, I couldn't help but feel sympathy. He was from the bottom class, but kind and honest. He and his granddaughter, in the upcoming apocalypse, I'm afraid they won't even survive a month. Out of a little bit of pity, I asked the old man to tell me his and his granddaughter's current address. After a week passed like this, I came to the construction site to inspect it. Current construction progress was basically completed. The supervisor introduced it to me. The walls and doors are made with the best concrete and solid steel. It can even withstand some nuclear radiation pollution. The warehouse is an unfinished factory with ready-made structures. It has been cleaned and reinforced and is ready to be used at any time. I was very satisfied with this. I quickly told Jiang Xiaoyong to send the goods over. Soon, the warehouse was neatly filled with supplies. I even offered the workers 2,000 per person. Have them sort and stack the items properly. Unconsciously, we were busy until late at night. After sending off the last batch of workers, I looked at the warehouse full of supplies and couldn't help but laugh maniacally. With these, I can live for centuries in the apocalypse with no problem. And the points awarded by the system also arrived. I looked and found that the system shop actually had new blind boxes. This ability awakening supply box is just what I wanted. Can actually allow me to gain an ability before the apocalypse. Congratulations, host. You have gained the skill, Mind's Eye. Mind's Eye LV.1. Ability, to sense whether the other party is hostile. I, who am well versed in various doomsday stories, naturally know that this is in the early stages of the doomsday, one of the most useful abilities. Then, the system sent a new task. Armed to the teeth. This system really is on the same wavelength as me. In the apocalypse, without weapons, hoarding more food is just giving someone else a free ride. Of course, in this peaceful era, if you want to buy weapons, you have to go to the black market. The items here are mixed and varied. What 4-star relics just dug out? What even supposed skulls of Qin Shi Huang when he was a child? Everything is available here. At this time, I noticed a familiar figure in the crowd. It turned out to be the fat G Boda. Buying a bracelet, he actually bargained down a high-quality jadeite, which originally cost 20 yuan, to a mere 300 yuan. I didn't expect that this guy's wealth was also fake. That thief Liu Ruyan was so stupid to be fooled by this kind of person. I spotted a knife shop at first glance. Then, I asked, "Boss, do you have any hard goods here?" But he just impatiently tossed out a sharpening stone. "Do you want hard stuff? Buy it back and sharpen it yourself." I sneered. "Not hard enough. I want something harder." Hearing this, the young man's expression changed. "What do you mean? Are you here to cause trouble?" But the next moment, his phone rang. "Your wallet has received a transfer of 200 yuan. Don't be agitated. I sincerely want to buy." Seeing that I picked up the payment QR code next to him, he immediately understood what I meant. After calling over his younger brother to watch the shop, he immediately asked me to talk somewhere else. He took out a homemade pistol, and said it was no problem to shoot a pheasant, and the ammunition was cheap too. for only 2 yuan, but I immediately rejected it. The boss was stunned for a moment. Then how about this replica revolver? Its performance isn't that much different from a service pistol. It shoots 9mm bullets. You can buy bullets from me for 5 yuan each. How does that sound? My face turned dark. I gave you 200.000 as a prepayment. It's not really appropriate for you to give me this kind of stuff, right? Hearing the words prepayment, the stall owner was a bit shocked. But after hearing that I wanted to buy 2 million worth of weapons, the boss was also immediately speechless. Big brother, what do you do? For this level of order, you came to me? I continued speaking without changing my expression. In the past, these matters were handled by my subordinates. There have been some changes recently, and you don't need to inquire too much. Just tell me if you can do it or not. That's all. Hearing these words, the stall owner immediately locked the door. After confirming that no one outside was eavesdropping, he looked at me with a serious face. You've come to the right person. I can do this for you. You write a list, and I'll give you an address later. You can drive over at 12 o'clock the night after tomorrow to complete the transaction. Remember to bring cash. Then I left the room satisfied with him. But I didn't expect to run into Ji Boda as soon as I went out. Isn't this Xiaoyong? I was wondering why you've been so generous and ignoring Ruyan lately. It seems your family has some heirlooms. Could it be that you have been reading too many marketing accounts lately, and want to be like others, to lie flat and sell your family property? But I didn't get angry. Instead, I laughed. This is a good chance to test my new ability. As I activated my mind's eye, prompts appeared over Ji Boda's and the stall owner's heads respectively. Seeing that the stall owner had a very high favorability towards me, I immediately provoked Ji Boda. So, Liu Ruyan was taken in by you with all this fake and secondhand stuff, huh? But after all, she's just my secondhand good. That's all she's worth. Seeing that I had directly enraged Ji Boda, I immediately winked at the stall owner. Don't kill him. I have other plans for his life. The stall owner immediately sneered. Got it, big brother. You go do your thing. I'll take care of this guy and teach him a lesson. Before he could finish speaking, a group of people surrounded Ji Boda. He was scared and retreated again and again. Big brother, let's talk it out. However, not long after, he was beaten to a pulp. Ji Boda, who was thrown out of the black market, was still roaring in resentment. Jiang Xiaoyong, you bastard. You just wait. I will make you wish you were dead. 2 days later, in the quiet of the night in the suburbs, I successfully transported tens of tons of weapons to the warehouse. Looking at the variety of firearms, I sighed with relief. With these instruments of truth, I will no longer be afraid of those survivor organizations in the apocalypse. The arming task was also completed at this time. I didn't expect the system to additionally give me a level 2 physical enhancement potion. Without thinking much, I injected it into my arm. After a wave of pain, I was surprised to find that my physical ability had increased by 2 points. While the average physical ability of an adult male is only 5, equivalent to a 40% increase in strength, I currently have 20 points. Might as well redeem another potion to directly max out my physical stats. After using the second injection, my physical ability actually reached 8 points. That's a 60% higher strength than an average person. It's a good time to find a target to try it out. I picked up a piece of scrap rebar from the warehouse. With a flying kick, the rebar was actually bent in two, and the end was directly kicked into the wall. It seems that even if I am barehanded now, no ordinary person can compare to me, even against the zombies that haven't mutated yet. In the early Doomsday, I'm not afraid at all, thinking that these weapons don't take up too much space. Just to be safe, I put the 10 tons of weapons into the different space. The apocalypse will begin the day after tomorrow. I was thinking about what I was missing. The honest old man from the countryside suddenly appeared in my mind. Although I had experienced life and death and the dangers of human hearts in the apocalypse, since I had nothing else to do anyway, I should still send him some supplies. As for whether he can survive in the Doomsday, it's all up to his luck. The next morning, I went to the address that the old man had given me. I didn't expect that this was even more remote than the suburbs. If it weren't for the navigation, I really wouldn't be able to find this place. It seems that this grandpa is really not rich. He even has to rent the top floor when he rents this kind of cheap house. Then, I knocked on the old man's door. In order not to arouse suspicion, I took the supplies out in advance and piled them up at his door. The old man was very surprised to see me. He thought it was the landlord coming to collect rent. When he saw the pile of supplies at the door, he was even more confused. Not having time to explain to him, I asked the old man to move the items inside with me. After all, this stuff can't be seen by other neighbors. After being busy for a while, I looked around. The space in this place is not bad. The door can be considered sturdy enough. It should be able to withstand the low-level zombies. After that, I started telling him to use the supplies wisely. It should be no problem for at least 6 months. But I was stunned before I finished speaking. A photo in the corner made me feel choked up. Short-haired, pure-looking girl in the photo was too familiar to me. She was exactly my teammate I met after the apocalypse in my past life. That strong and courageous girl. Yet she took care of me meticulously. Old man, is your granddaughter named Meng Shanshan? My voice was a little trembling. The old man behind me was a little confused. How did you know that? The past scenes rushed into my mind. She never told me about her background, and I only knew that her grandmother grandfather had died in the ruins to save her. She once expressed her feelings to me, and we two became each other's strongest support. But at that time, I, for my own selfish gain, let that bitch Liu Ruyan in, and ultimately, Shanshan died before my eyes. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but clench my teeth. Where's your granddaughter now? The old man said she was still in school in her hometown. I silently put down the photo frame. In this life, I will repay the sins of the past. At least this time, I must save you. So, I told the old man the truth. You won't be able to move into my house. Starting tomorrow, this world will become a living hell. Neither my house nor your granddaughter's school registration. Nothing is important anymore. Now, come with me and let's go to the school where Shanshan is. I will arrange a new place for you to live. However, after I said so much, the old man didn't understand a word. I had to explain that there would soon be a famine. How miserable and terrible people were during the famine years. You should be able to imagine, right? How can there be a famine in peaceful times? Seeing that I couldn't explain it, I had to open my different space and put everything in the room, into it. Before he could recover from his shock, my expression gradually became serious. This is my superpower, and I can also predict the future. Shanshan is a very important person to me. If I want to save her, from now on, everything has to be done according to my words. After a whole day's drive, I finally arrived at the school in the neighboring county. Old man, do you know which class and which dormitory Shanshan is in? At the same time, a lot of students were gathered on the school playground. A girl with a high ponytail suddenly slapped another girl's face. Bitch, I just don't understand. What's so good about you? How could Jiang Xiaoyong like someone like you? And the girl being bullied was Shanshan. She covered her slapped cheek and defended herself. I said I didn't go out with him. He was the one who kept pestering me. But the next moment, she was kicked in the stomach by another girl wearing AK uniform. You little hoe. Did I let you argue back? What do you mean? You ugly thing? You're saying that Jiang Xiaoyong is chasing after you and you don't even appreciate it? She grabbed the girl's hair. Take off her clothes. At this time, a voice interrupted the two of them. What are you doing? The two girls saw that it was Shanshan's grandfather, and they arrogantly mocked him. Isn't that her useless old man? A bumpkin from the countryside. Seeing his granddaughter being bullied, the old man angrily shouted. But he was stopped by several high school bullies holding sticks. This is a matter for young people. What are you, an old man, doing interfering? But I didn't expect the old man to actually rush up, disregarding the danger. You little beasts not have parents to teach you? Bullying your classmates like this. Seeing that one of the students was about to hit him in the head, I caught the stick in his hand with one hand. At such a young age and not studying properly. You guys are even learning to be gangsters. But I didn't expect these guys to restrain themselves at all. Where did this poor ghost come from? You little thief. I never heard that you had a big brother. However, before they could finish speaking, I kicked the leader 2.5 meters away. The two were so frightened that they broke out in a cold sweat. Damn, this kid has trained. Let's go at him together. And I just responded with a cold glare. Then I quickly dodged the baseball bat coming at me. It seems my reaction has become faster after enhancing my physical ability. In an instant, I arrived in front of that flat-top guy, and directly gave him a body slam. And he immediately fell into a comfortable sleep. And you, kid, their movements in my eyes were as slow as turtles. I snatched his knife, and with a kick, I broke his leg bone. After confirming that these two lackeys were sleeping peacefully, I slowly walked towards the two girls who bullied Shanshan. They began to panic at this time. Don't come over here. What do you want to do? And without saying a word, I slapped her. This is for Shanshan. After receiving the slap, she was already so scared that she didn't dare to breathe. Then I grabbed the K-girl's hair. It looks like you like grabbing hair. Weren't you kicking earlier? Seeing that I was holding the blade to her neck, she cried and begged for mercy frantically. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please don't kill me. And the killing intent in my eyes grew stronger. You only know that you are about to die. As I raised my knife and brought it down, she fell to her knees with a thud. But my knife only cut off her long hair. Remember, next time, your head will be chopped off. But you won't have a next time. In a few days, maybe short hair can save your life. Although I had originally wanted to kill this beast, I stopped because I saw that Shanshan was scared. After all, she hasn't experienced the trials of the apocalypse yet, and she will inevitably feel apprehensive about killing. It's getting late. Shanshan, let's go. Shanshan was full of suspicion. Where are we going? On the road. Her grandfather explained to her, from now on, you don't need to go to school anymore, because there is going to be a great famine soon. Surviving is the most important thing. Meng Shanshan was a little angry after hearing this. She complained that her grandfather again believed those scam calls. Seeing the two arguing in the back, I revealed a smile. Shanshan, in this life, I will definitely keep you safe. I started to explain to her. Actually, the famine that your grandfather mentioned is what I told him. After hearing this, Shanshan asked about my identity. Jiang Xiaoyong. You can call me brother Xiaoyong in the future. You don't need to worry about those people. There's a high probability that they won't live for many days. Shan was even more confused after hearing this. Could there really be a famine? I shook my head. The famine was just something I made up to make it easier for your grandfather to understand. What is really coming is the apocalypse. She couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. What do you mean by the apocalypse you are talking about? I smiled. The time should be about right now. You'll know when you open your phone and check the news. And she was even more stunned after opening her phone. The voice of the news broadcast sounded. In City A there have been large-scale incidents of violent patients biting people. Situation is now under control. Citizens are advised to stay indoors if possible. More and more abnormal news reports appeared. Her expression also gradually became serious. As expected, signs of the apocalypse have already appeared. Tomorrow is the first day of the apocalypse. Toxic smog will cover several provinces, including Province B. This unknown source of toxic smog will have an impact on living creatures. Gradually, people will be transformed into zombies because of this, and another group of people will not be able to escape it. Once they die, they will also become a member of the zombies. Soon, this disaster will spread to the whole world. Shan is not stupid. I think she understands what I am talking about now. But as I was saying this, I discovered that the highway was actually jammed. Not only is the normal lane blocked, even the emergency lane is blocked by people. The old man was worried if some zombies would chase after us. I know very well that the zombie outbreak will completely explode in a few days, but the situation here now is probably that ahead. There are already uncontrollable infected people. But at this time, a Mercedes suddenly rushed up the emergency lane, and actually wanted to cut in front of me. I was so startled that I immediately slammed on the gas pedal. The apocalypse hasn't even started yet. How dare this bastard play like this? Seeing this, I don't plan to indulge him. I quickly turned the steering wheel hard to block him. I didn't expect that this kid wouldn't give up. He even opened the window and started cursing at me. My eyes also revealed killing intent. My hand already reached for the pistol stored in the glove compartment, but thinking that there were Shan and the old man in the car, it's best to avoid more trouble at this time. After being stuck for 2.5 hours, this road was finally cleared. Meng Shan suddenly exclaimed, "Brother Xiaoyong, be careful. It's that car from before. That guy is actually cutting us off again. Since you want to die so much, don't blame me for sending you on your way early." I told the two behind me to buckle their seatbelts. Finding an opportunity, I suddenly accelerated and rammed into it. This one impact sent that car flying. The blonde-haired guy in the car got angry and slammed the wheel. Find the traffic police and get the surveillance footage. Check the license plate for me. I want to let you know that there are some people you cannot afford to offend. Car continued to drive until late at night. Finally, arriving at my Doomsday Fortress, after telling the two to rest early, I returned to the warehouse. Starting tomorrow, each day will become very difficult. Perhaps this will be the last piece before the apocalypse. The first thing I did upon returning before the apocalypse was to spend all my savings to buy an unfinished building. But my girlfriend mocked me as a fool, and she said that I couldn't marry her without a 400,000 dowry. But I said that I have plenty of money, but she won't spend a single cent of it. It turned out that the apocalypse would descend in one day, and my unfinished building will become the last fortress in the Doomsday. Just yesterday, I successfully rescued Meng Shan at the school. The car continued to drive until late at night. Finally, arriving at my Doomsday Fortress, the two were speechless as soon as they got out of the car, shocked by the scene in front of them. The entire fortress was unbelievably large. Everywhere was made of full steel protection. After arranging accommodations for them, I told the two of them to rest early. After all, starting tomorrow, each day will become very difficult. The next day at noon, I stood by the window and silently looked at this world. Perhaps this was the last piece before the Doomsday. Meng Shan stretched behind me. It's been a long time since I slept so well. It's so good not having to go to early morning self-study. Hearing this, I smiled. Let's go. Follow me to learn about our fortress. Then, I led the two on a tour. The walls here are made of reinforced concrete. The remote control gate is also made of pure steel. It's a full 3 centimeters thick. No matter if they are humans or zombies, without the aid of heavy weapons, it's absolutely impossible to break through it. Remember, without my permission, no one is allowed, except for us three, to enter the interior of the fortress. Meng Shan paused for a moment. If survivors escape over here, are we just going to let them die? Seeing my silence, Shan thought she had said something wrong and looked guilty, and I took her to the bridge of the fortress. In the Doomsday, people's hearts are unpredictable. The evil of human nature will be amplified infinitely. Being overly kind will only hurt ourselves, but relying on just us few to resist the zombies is indeed not enough. Therefore, I have also made a backup plan. If survivors come for help when I'm not here, this buffer zone can provide them with temporary protection. You can observe carefully inside it, whether there are any valuable people, but before I return, you must not let them inside the fortress. Do you understand? Then I took them to the food area. Suddenly, I stopped in my tracks. I turned around and used mind's eye on the two of them. I didn't expect both of them to have smiley face icons above their heads. Is this what represents trust? This is the first time it has happened. Thinking of this, I didn't hide it anymore. I directly used the different space. I told the two that weapons were the most important thing in the Doomsday, and that they must keep them in their own hands, and must not let them fall into the hands of others. In the previous life, Shanshan's best weapon was the bow and arrow. She could kill people from hundreds of meters away, so this time, it's good to let her try out this system-enhanced military crossbow. At this time, the system sent a reminder again. Due to the successful rescue of Meng Shanshan, the Former Comrades series of missions have been activated. New mission: find and rescue former comrade Jiang Kai. Hearing this, I was overjoyed. It's perfect timing. I was worried about how to find my former comrades. I'm going out for a bit. You must abide by the rules I set. Brother Xiaoyong, please be careful on the road. Time waits for no one. Now there are only a few hours left until the apocalypse. I immediately accelerated towards the destination. At the same time, Jiang Kai ran into trouble. The KTV. He accidentally bumped into a woman next to him. He was about to apologize, but the man next to the woman kicked him flying. You little bastard. Can't you see where you are going? Xiao Pang quickly asked the other party why he hit him, but he didn't expect the man to grab Xiao Pang and lift him up. You brat. You dare to bump into my lips. Do you not want to live? Fortunately, the waiter stopped the two, and that's how they escaped the disaster. But the more the two thought about it after they returned to the private room, the angrier they got. The flat-top guy, seeing his brother being insulted, was even more indignant. Wait until I call all my brothers from the department, and I can't take care of him? But at this moment, a group of people suddenly broke into the private room. The people who came were all fierce and menacing. It looked like they were always involved in the underworld. Seeing this, Jiang Kai and the other college students also had to give in, but the flat-top guy suddenly spoke up angrily. You bullies. Do you dare to let me make a call? Did I let you talk? Chen Chong. Jiang Kai was finally furious at this moment. At the same time, I finally arrived downstairs at the KTV. As expected of college students, they still have the mind to come sing even though the end is near. It seems I have to help this kid clean up his mess again. The first thing a man did after returning before the Doomsday was to take the beautiful girls and feed them to the zombies. My classmates all thought I was crazy, but only I knew that the apocalypse had completely broken out. All laws and humanity will cease to exist. I thought this time my fortress preparations were flawless, but I didn't expect that Liu Ruyan had her eyes on my stockpiled supplies at this time. It turned out that after receiving the system's location, I also rushed to the KTV entrance where my teammate was. At the same time, Chen Chong was already on the ground, unable to get up after being hit by the bottle. Faced with her boyfriend asking if she felt better, the blonde woman said that it was someone else who bumped into her. But before the rich second generation could take action against Jiang Kai, Chen Chong, who was on the ground, immediately picked up an ashtray to retaliate. Young rich guy's subordinates immediately held him tightly. Damn it, I didn't expect you to have guts. Kid. The beer bottle was smashed on his head again. Seeing his brother falling to the ground, unconscious, Jiang Kai could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. He roared and charged at the rich second generation and his men, but only the third guy was scared and was trembling in the corner. However, just as they were making a mess, the bartender behind them, who had been unconscious, suddenly started coughing violently. It was obvious that this guy had already mutated, but no one at the scene noticed the bartender's abnormality. Accompanied by a scream, one of the rich second-generation subordinates was bitten on the shoulder by the bartender. However, he did not realize the seriousness of the situation. He was still cursing incessantly. Are you a dog? You son of a bitch? Hurry up. Someone, get this thing off me. However, the strength of this bartender was so great that they were unable to resist. Even the people who came to pull him away were bitten by the mutated bartender. Just as they were angrily saying that this kid had gone mad and where he got so much strength, a large hand instantly lifted the bartender with one hand. Then, in the shocked gazes of everyone at the scene, he smashed him against the wall. I stared at everyone with a cold expression. If anyone dares to move again, their fate will be the same as his. Seeing that the crazed bartender, who was as strong as a bull, was held down with one hand by me, the scene was immediately silent. No one dared to speak again. I just asked Jiang Kai if he had been bitten. After getting a negative answer from him, I immediately asked him to leave here with me, but the rich second generation grabbed Jiang Kai. Our matter isn't over yet. Even if the heavenly King Lao Su came today, he couldn't save you. However, before he could finish speaking, the subordinate behind him started saying that his head was spinning badly. Seeing this scene, I instantly understood. It seems this guy has been infected, and this guy was bitten again, so close to the head. I'm afraid he will mutate very soon. So, I grabbed the bartender. Then I directly threw him into the restroom of the private room. It's good that the zombies in the early Doomsday don't have the intelligence to open doors. Otherwise, this door wouldn't be able to stop him. Then, I turned my attention to Jiang Kai. Tell me, Jiang Kai, which one of these guys was going to cripple you? Jiang Kai Kai was immediately shocked. How do you know my name? And the rich second generation was even more furious. So, you guys are together. After saying that, he swung his fist and charged at me. But with my current physical strength, how could I allow them to provoke me? With just one move, I smashed his head directly into the ground, and those lackeys also rushed up at once. But I just simply threw out a few punches, and they were all comfortably asleep on the ground. Is there anyone else who wants to try my fist? Come on. However, at this moment, I noticed that the person was actually twitching on the ground. It was clearly a sign of mutation. I immediately told Jiang Kai to leave here with his friends. Seeing this, the rich second generation also wanted to run, but they were stopped by me. You had a few drinks and forgot who you are. Is that it? You almost got my brother killed here. What are you talking about? Get out of my way. But before he could finish speaking, I pushed him down. Then, I locked the door from the outside. After a zombie's roar, various heartbreaking screams soon came from the room, and I just sneered outside the door. Enjoy the last minute of your life. Then, I told the bartender at the door, lock this door tightly. No one is allowed to open it. Then, call the police and the hospital, and tell them that there are patients with a severe flu inside the room. The bartender didn't believe it at first, but after he and his colleagues went to the surveillance room to confirm, he was immediately scared witless by the scene in front of him. The people inside were actually starting to eat each other. Immediately, the entire KTV was in chaos, and I quickly left the scene with Jiang Kai and the others. After all, every minute now is precious. In the car, Jiang Kai expressed his gratitude to me. Then, he started asking about my identity. I said that I was hired to protect them. As for who the employer is, you don't need to ask. The third guy asked me a question. Big brother, is that severe flu you mentioned real? Hasn't it already been debunked online that there is no such thing as a severe flu? And I just sneered. Were what happened in the private room earlier all illusions? This disaster will not pass. It will only get worse and worse. From now on, is already the doomsday. And just then, my car seemed to have hit something. Looking outside, I saw that it was actually on the street. That there were zombies biting people. My expression also became serious. The situation now is just a local small-scale outbreak. The vast majority of people are still in the incubation period. It won't be long before it goes out of control on a large scale. So, if you want to survive, from now on, you have to listen to everything I say. At this moment, the system suddenly appeared. Former Comrades Chapter 1 is completed. Reward 20 points. And the Doomsday Cultivator box in the shop is still there. One box costs 5 points. It seems that if I want to buy a new ability, I can only buy it or spend points to manually refresh it. It's good that this thing isn't expensive. I can redeem it all when I return to the fortress later. But I still have a more difficult problem at hand. In the previous life, Jiang Kai, because of a betrayal by a roommate, caused the other guys to die at the mouths of zombies. Only Jiang Kai himself luckily got half of his life back. And the guy who killed the others, who is it? At the same time, on the other side, Liu Ruyan was complaining to Ji Boda. When will the supplies you mentioned be delivered? It's very chaotic outside now. I really don't dare to go to the supermarket by myself. But Ji Boda gave a perfunctory response and hung up the phone. At this time, her door was suddenly knocked on. Liu Ruyan was very startled. She walked to the door, trembling. Could it be that those rabies patients have gone out of control? But she didn't expect the person to be her best friend. Wen Shuya, why did you knock so hard? You scared me to death. However, Wen Shuya said that the old man on the first floor, Liu Taya, was taken away this morning, and it was with the police cars and ambulances. It seems that the severe flu circulating online is not alarmist talk, but the supplies that Ji Boda promised her were delayed and not delivered. Seeing this, Shuya immediately gave Liu Ruyan a trick. Call him and tell him that Jiang Xiaoyong has a large number of supplies, which will allow him to make a lot of money during the pandemic. Anyway, men are not good. Liu Ruyan was puzzled as to how she knew this. When Shuya explained, last time, when I went to Jiang Xiaoyong's house and was kicked out, I sent my simp to keep an eye on him. I found that every now and then there were trucks pulling supplies to his unfinished factory to unload. Hearing this, Liu Ruyan's expression instantly turned to fear. Could it be that Jiang Xiaoyong already knew that there would be a severe flu? And when Shuya smirked, we can use this as a chance to get someone else to do our dirty work. Then we can also make a good profit. The first thing I did upon returning before the doomsday was to publicly announce that I have 1,000 tons of pre-made meals. My companions all thought I was crazy. After all, by doing this, robbers would come to my door very quickly. What they don't know is that I, who am already armed to the teeth, was waiting for this moment. It turned out that just now, I rescued Jiang Kai and his group. Jiang Kai, who just arrived at the fortress, was immediately stunned by the scene in front of him. His reaction was exactly the same as Shanshan's before, and at this time, Meng Shanshan changed into plain clothes. She was no different than when I first met her in my previous life. So, I briefly introduced Jiang Kai and the others to them, and I told the old man to take them on a tour of the base, along the way, to also inform them of the information and rules here. But at this time, I was interrupted by the third guy's voice. He asked if they could also be given some weapons. My expression immediately turned cold. They just entered the camp and already want weapons? This person is probably the traitor without a doubt. The fat guy beside him quickly reminded him in a low voice. Yiming, don't be in such a rush to ask for weapons. We just arrived. We have to let them trust us first, right? But I didn't show that I was concerned about this on the surface. I just told them to take Chen Chong to get treatment first. Several hours passed. The third guy, after getting cleaned up, immediately expressed his dissatisfaction with the fat guy. Lao Si, why did you stop me earlier? If it wasn't for you, he might have given us weapons. Our current situation, to put it nicely, is that we are being protected. To put it bluntly, we are being held captive here. The fat guy immediately interrupted. You can't say that. After all, he saved us. The third guy retorted. What is his background? Why did he save us? He doesn't say who hired him. Who knows what the truth is? And look at his attitude towards Chong Yi. He said he's in the infirmary to observe his injury. You saw the infirmary too. The doors and windows are more solid than a prison. There is no guarantee that they won't harvest his kidney in there. The fat guy wanted to say a few words. However, the third guy still didn't stop. As the saying goes, I'd rather let the whole world down. If what that Xiaoyong said is true, why don't we just take over this fortress? Take the initiative? Here, besides us and that so-called Xiaoyong, there's only an old man and a girl. We'll take them down when that Xiaoyong isn't here. What's more, that girl is pretty good looking. At that time, we brothers. But the next moment, he realized the atmosphere suddenly became silent. Feeling uncomfortable, the third guy quickly covered up his intentions. He said that he was just teasing them. Don't take it seriously. Zhang Kai also wiped the sweat from his forehead. Lao San, don't scare me. The apocalypse hasn't even started yet, and you're already talking about doing lawless things? What's more, they have guns. Do you think you can defeat them? But after the two left, the third guy revealed a sly smile. These fools don't know how to conspire. In a chaotic world, you must be ruthless. After I succeed, the two of you can be my lackeys for the rest of your lives. At the same time, I called Meng, Shan and the old man to come over. You two have worked hard. Rest early tonight. Except for that Chen Chong. You must keep a close watch on Zhang Qi's other two classmates. There must be a traitor among these guys. Then, I went to the warehouse alone. It's time to redeem those boxes in the system shop. I just don't know what kind of things I'll get out of them. A series of notification sounds rang out. The system began to display the successfully redeemed items. Doomsday Cultivator Supply Box X50. 100 kilograms. Reward 50 corn seeds, sugar, oil, and protein supply box open. Reward 200 kilograms of starch sausages, 100 kilograms of pre-made meals, and 50 boxes of pickled cabbage noodles. Armed Deterrence Supply Box LV.1 open. Reward 1500 rounds of 9mm ammunition. Although these things are not as good as what I prepared when I first started, the doomsday when resources will be extremely scarce soon. They will be worth more than hundreds of tons of gold. However, just after spending the first day of the apocalypse peacefully, a group of uninvited guests suddenly came to the fortress the second day. A group of people holding sticks actually started provoking us from the outside, but after hitting it for a long time, they found that it had no effect at all. Boss, this door is probably an inch thick. We can't open it with our meager equipment. But the man leading them brought out a box of Molotov cocktails. You brat, you dared to cut me off earlier. Today I will burn down this crappy building.